Great. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm excited for today. I really am. Over the last few weeks, I've chatted with everybody that I can see here on the call and with many more. And I am profoundly and deeply inspired by your dreams. You all have really big dreams, God-given dreams. Some of you are building organizations. Some of you are transforming the lives of children, of, of people. And I always hold up this question for my life. What might be possible if we could help people to achieve the dreams that they carry in their heart? What might be possible in the world if you are able to do the work that truly inspires you and that you feel that you're meant to do? And so I am profoundly grateful for my connection to all of you and for those of you that will listen to this call. And, my life's mission is not just to help you guys, but anybody that has a dream that wants to change the world. I want to help them get there. But we all have dreams, but very few of us have ladders that take us from where we are now to our dreams. And I would like to say that I think goal setting and goal achieving is the way to build a ladder from where you are now to your dreams. It is a fundamental skill that all of us need to learn to practice and master if mastery is achievable. But in my experience and with the people I've worked with, and I know Al Medina's a coach and Sultan's a coach, so you'll probably have seen evidence of this as well. Most people don't set goals because they don't know what it is they want. They're frightened. They don't know how to start, all kinds of reasons. And then we have probably the majority of those that do set goals often struggle to make those goals a reality. And I think there is, we could argue all day with 101 reasons to why that is, but I think they largely fall into three categories. One is we have an abundance of fear. We worry about if we fail, we worry about if we succeed, we worry about what people will think of us. Those of us that come from a religious background, we're terrified. What if this is the wrong goal? So we have an abundance of fear. The second thing is we often have a disconnection from our desire. We set random goals that really we think we should be chasing, but they're not. They don't flow from our heart and our passion and our purpose. They're mum and dad's goals for our life. We saw a video on TikTok and we think now that should be the goal for our life. We have a disconnection from desire. And three, we have a lack of community. I'm a firm believer that if you have a dream, you need to surround yourself with people that are doing the same thing. You need a team in order to make that dream a reality. Good morning to Katya and to Yulia as well. So today we're going to learn how, we're going to start our learning journey on how to master goal achievement. And for those that are interested, over the next 90 days, starting in January, we're going to have a separate focus for those that really want to crush a goal, a major goal in the next 90 days. So let's have a look at what I have learned around goal setting. Do I claim to be an expert? No, not in the slightest. But I have achieved so many of the goals that I've set out to achieve. I have also failed to achieve just as many goals that I've set out to achieve. But in that, I've learned something. And so I tend to set goals where I'm aiming for the stars and I'll settle if I land on the moon. So I want that disclaimer. I'm not the world's expert in setting goals. There are other coaches out there, and I can highly recommend a guy called John Acuff. He runs All It Takes Is One Goal, his podcast, and he has a book of the same title. There's lots of people out there. You can go to YouTube. You can learn everything there is over a lunchtime without spending any money. So here's the first thing. You need a goal. Wow, that was profound, wasn't it? You need to have an objective. In the film, was it West Pacific or something? The famous song, "If you don't have a dream, how are you going to have a dream come true?" And we'll ask Sultan to sing that to us later. But every goal starts with a clear objective. This is our what. And I think there needs to be four things around this goal. Number one, it needs to be significant. And it needs to be significant for you, not for anybody else, unless you're leading a team or a company, but it needs to be significant. It needs to be action oriented. It needs to be concrete. It needs to be, yeah, this is something, it's not wishy-washy, it's not vague. And it needs to be inspiring. And it's worth talking about why our goal needs to be infused with these four powerful ingredients. Let me talk to you very quickly about what I call the zone of creative tension. Well, that sounds impressive, doesn't it? So we have our current reality of today with all its stresses and strains. We've got bills to pay, we've got kids to feed, we've got partners to please, we've got tasks to get done, we've got obligations, and all of this is life. And then we come on a goal setting workshop and we set this incredible goal and we have this powerful vision. And then if we're crazy enough, tomorrow we take our first step towards this vision. And we step into what I call this zone of creative tension. Another way of describing it is the swamp of lost and forgotten dreams. And when we're in this place, we are pushed and we are pulled. The dream either is so significant, so inspiring, so action orientated, like gravity, it pulls us towards us, or the reality of today with all its stresses and strains pulls us back. So if we don't have this, when we're in this zone of tension, and you always will be, the minute you take your first step towards your goal, the reality of balancing these two takes over. And so we need this North Star that guides us towards that. So if we think of, I was thinking this morning of Mother Teresa, and she had this clearly defined goal of providing dignity to the dying. Google, over the last few years with their Chrome browser, they set this goal to have the world's most popular browser. Bono, the lead singer of U2, runs a non-profit called One, and he has this powerful goal to end poverty and disease in a generation. JFK talked about putting a man on the moon. And a more practical thing, Wes isn't on the call, but I know he'll be watching this. Earlier on this year, he set a goal that he was going to run his first marathon. So whether we are Mother Teresa wanting to provide dignity for the dying, or we're wanting to run our first marathon, our goal has to tick these four boxes: significance, action orientated, concrete, and inspiring. Having decided on our what, our objective, we need to determine the how. And we call these our key results. What are the milestones? What are the activities? What are the things that we have to focus on that will allow us to achieve our goals? So Mother Teresa, in her goal of wanting to provide dignity for the dying, she recognized she would need a center, a home, a place where people could come and be taken care of. Number two, she needed a team of nuns who were trained as nurses and counselors and carers. And then 3, she needed an army of supporters that would provide the resources in order to get this done. Bono has 2 very clear, defined key results that will allow him to end poverty and disease. Number 1 is he wants to see debt cancellation for the world's poorest nations. And then he wants to see, number 2, universal access to anti-HIV drugs. When I was talking to Wes early in the year, he understood that to achieve his dream and his goal of running his first marathon, he needed to focus on 3 key results. Number 1, it was optimizing his nutrition. And he won't mind me saying this, for him, it was cutting out beer and pasties and junk food. He knew that if he just focused on removing those from his diet, he could only do better. Number 2, he had to focus on optimizing his technique. He's a very tall guy. He's a rugby player. Rugby players, by and large, are not optimized for long distance running. So he had to learn the technique. So he had to start slow. He had to learn and build this up, focus on his breathing. And then 3, he had to optimize his overall fitness. Number 3 in our goal setting is, once we understand what it is we want, our objective, what it is we want to achieve. Number 2, when we understand what are those 2 or more key activities, 3 generally, that we have to achieve in order to get our goal. The third thing we need to do if you want to begin to crush your goals is you have to understand your why. You have to understand, why is this goal important to you? And in doing this, we are connecting it to what truly matters in our life and in our business. Otherwise, when we're in this storm of tension of like, well, how do I deal with the day-to-day and how do I move towards the dream of tomorrow? When we are connected to desire, when we're connected to our why, this is the wind in our sail. It is the fuel to our engine. Mother Teresa, I saw an interview of her on YouTube a few years ago when someone said to her, "Why do you want to provide dignity for the dying?" And she said, "Because I see God in every single person." And so that was her driving why. That she was in a country where people were rejected, weren't accepted, were judged, and she said, "I see God in every person and I want to minister to God." Google, when you see the interview with their chief exec who founded the Chrome browser, he was driven by this purpose. What might be possible if we could connect everybody, give them easy connection to the world's information? He was obsessed with this. Why? What might be possible if people could just go to our browser, type in simple search terms, and they could find the information that they want that would solve their problems, give them the resources that they need. I was always inspired by John F. Kennedy, whose goal was, we're going to put a man on the moon. And when he was asked later about his why, he said, "We as America want to win the Cold War with Russia peacefully." He was driven by this purpose. We are on the threshold of nuclear war, but we want to win this Cold War peacefully. We want to bring it to an end when no one's died. So we have to understand what our purpose is. And a simple way of doing this, well, there are 2 ways of doing it. Number 1, you understand what your values are. And then from that place, you begin to create a vision around it. So your goals are already purpose-driven. Or secondly, whenever you set a goal, you begin to ask yourself, um, why is this important to me? And generally, when you ask that question, first of all, you end up with, I'm not going to be so rude as to say a superficial answer, but often you end up with a basic answer, an ego-driven answer. But then whatever it is, whatever you say, you then ask yourself, and why is that important to me? And then you ask it a third time, and why is that important to me? And then a fourth time, and then a fifth time. And generally around 4 or 5 times, you reach the place where you really ultimately understand your reason behind it. So I have this goal that I want to train 1,000 people as transformational coaches and spiritual guides to unlock the gifts and callings in the next generation. So I started off with, well, so I want to train these people. Well, why is that important to me? Well, because we want to unlock the gifts and callings in people. Well, why is that important to me? Well, I believe really passionately that God has put a gift and a dream in everyone, and I want to see that realized. Well, why is that important to me? Well, when we are doing the work that we are meant to do, we are we are we are doing the work. We are the answer to other people's problems and prayers. Well, why is that important to me? Well, one, we are doing the work they are meant to do. We are bringing heaven to earth. And when I got to that stage, that was the point. I was struggling to breathe. I was crying. I was like, yes, that's what drives me. We live in a world of hurt and fear and turmoil, and we have all the answers within us. And when we give our gifts, when we give our message, when we help the people we're meant to do, when we solve their problems, when we're an answer to their prayer, I believe, I'm not asking you to believe it, but I believe we are releasing heaven on earth. And so that is what drives me. That is what drives me. And so when I've met each of you, I've realized I see what drives you. And so when I'm wanting to help you, it's out of this why. So you have to ask yourself this thing, the 5 whys. First time you do it, I guarantee you, your head will get in the way and you'll judge everything, you'll edit everything, and it can't be that because we have this voice on our shoulder that questions it. But keep persevering. And if any of you want to reach out to me, I'll coach you through it. I'm sure other people on the call will do the same for you. But just get a coffee, get a blank sheet of paper, start with your goal. Number one, why is this important to me? Answer it. Then number two, why is that important to me? And keep going until you get to the place and then sit with it. So we have to have our objective. We have to understand our key, the what, our key results, the how. How are we going to achieve this goal? We then connect it to our desire. We understand our why. But then really importantly, we have to minimize, we have to acknowledge our fear, name it, and minimize it. Because if we don't, our fear and doubt and imposter syndrome will show up in our life as chaos, procrastination, avoidance, and nothing happens. And so I think there are 2 ways in doing this, 2 ways that I do. Number one, a little bit like my whys, I understand that subconsciously I will have limiting beliefs that want to stop me from doing this, that want to keep me safe. And so the first thing I will say to myself is, if I pursue this goal, what am I afraid might happen? And I write that answer. I'll fail. People will laugh at me. My mum will judge me. My partner will leave me. We write these things down. And then we say, and if that happens, what am I afraid will happen again? And we keep repeating this. And if that happens, what might happen next? And if that happens, etc., etc. And eventually we typically end up at the bottom of a barrel where we think I'll die, I'll end up in poverty, people will leave me, I'll end up homeless on the street, and I'll be ashamed. Almadina's laughing there. But that's generally where we end up. You might have something different, but we end up in this place where we're naked and ashamed. But what we have to realize is number two things. Number one is it's really unlikely to happen. And number two is we ask ourselves the question, at what point would I stop pursuing this goal before this catastrophe happens? So often I will say, so in the new year, I'm severing all of the projects. I'm finishing them. I never quit a project mid-project. But once I've got to the end of them, I'm not renewing anything. I'm committing fully to my dream and goal of raising up an army of people doing good on the earth. And my key objectives is this course and training people as coaches. I'm committing everything to that. And I've looked at this and gone, oh, SHIT, what might happen? Well, I know what will happen. My dad will be screaming blue murder at me. You've got a wife to support. You've got daughters. You've got a grandchild. He's projecting all his fears onto me. I know all my family will be frightened. How will we pay the bills? I know people around me will say, you're being crazy, Neil. You're doing what you always do. You quit just before you succeed. And then I'm kind of going, well, clearly the worst that's happened is, we end up in a tent in a field somewhere in Cambridge. And but for me, I've realized, where is my checkpoint? So I'm willing to go at this for 6 months, not earn a single penny at it. And so I'm willing to put 6 months of money into this, plus the resources that I need. And I'm going to go full at it for 6 months. And then at the end of it, I will see where I am. And if I can't pay the mortgage, if I can't feed my family, if I can't do the things I need to do, then I will talk to my mentors and coaches and figure out, do I need to stop? So that's my stop point. And in doing that, naming my fears, recognizing the chances are they are not going to happen. And two, putting, like traders understand, we put a stop loss in this. At this point, I stop and I go back to work and I play a different game. The second way of minimizing fear is number one is we find a mentor. We have to find somebody that's already achieved what it is we want to achieve, somebody that's done it. Now, does that have to be a person we meet for coffee every week? Well, if you can, great. But if not, is there a book you can read? Is there a TED talk you can watch? Are there podcasts you can listen to? Are there people that have achieved similar things that you can go and talk to them about? If you are able to receive the wisdom from someone that's already done it, you're going to minimize your fear because they're helping you build the plan that works. Secondly, on that, you need a network of people on the same journey. And I know Laura and Fatima are on the call. a part of a very powerful business networking group, and they put a lot of energy and attention into that because they understand if you are surrounded by people that are action orientated, goal orientated, want to achieve stuff, you will tune into that. You know, if there are 5 millionaires in your group, you'll probably be the sixth. You become like the people you hang around with. So if you're hanging around with people that are on the same journey as you, that minimizes the risk because there's going to be somebody in the group that who's achieved what you're struggling with, and again will help you do that. So you need this network. Number three, you need a growth mindset. You got to commit to, because when you have a goal, you understand you need knowledge, skills, and resources. So you got to commit to learning the knowledge. So I recognize with the goal I'm pursuing, I need to learn how to make videos, edit them, make thumbnails, you know, put the right keywords in. And as you'll know from my video production, I know bugger all about creating good videos, but I've started. I can always get better, but I've committed to the process. So I've joined a course on how to do stuff on YouTube, how to edit them. I listened to 2 lessons and I thought, oh, I can't be asked with this. And I gave up. But now I've got to get back and got to start doing it. So I'm committed to the knowledge. I've reached out to a 21-year-old student who's doing great stuff on social media. And I'm saying, will you mentor me? Will you teach me? And so I can get better at the skills of this. I'm in my 50s. You know, I'm not going to declare my age, but it takes humility to go to a 21-year-old Generation Z that speaks a totally different language to me and go, I need your help. But I'm not stupid. I understand that this is my mentor, this 21-year-old. I think there might even be 19 to 20. This young person is the one to help me do the skills. And I've got to commit to the resources. But we need this learning and growth mentality. When was the last time you did something for the first time? Everything you want is outside of your comfort zone. If it was in your comfort zone, you'd already have it. But often the dreams that we have are so far out of our comfort zone, we can't get there in one jump. We can't be long jumpers. We have to be triple jumpers. So we start off by doing little stuff. Susan Jeffers, in her brilliant book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And one of the ways we do that is by doing little goals. We do stuff that scares us, knocks our knees a little bit. So if you want to be a speaker, go and join a business networking group. You've got to introduce yourself. It's terrifying if you've never done it before. Go and join Toastmasters. Learn how to give a 3-minute talk. Learn how to give a 15-minute talk in front of people who are going to 10 times better than you. A friend of mine has just done a firewalk for charity. And now I think we've created a monster because now she's talking about things that a year ago I know she'd never have the courage. The goal she is going, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And I'm like, wow. So what is it you're avoiding? What is it you're frightened of? Go and do that first. So we need the mentor, we need the tribe, we need the learning mindset. And lastly, we need a team. We need a support team. If you climb Everest, you need your Sherpas. If you're a professional athlete, you need physios, you need coaches, you need all kinds of things. Who do you need on your team? You need 4 people. Number 1 is the person who stands in front of you. This is your evangelist. This is your ambassador. This is your patron. This is the person that talks about you wherever they go. They're constantly trying to open doors for you. They're looking for your interests. Who's that person that can do that for you? Then you need your right-hand woman. That person is your cheerleader. That person is that individual that will never leave you. That is the person that no matter what happens, they've got your back. They're fighting for you. They'll fight other people. They're there with you through thick and thin. They are there with you. But then you need the person on the left, the analytical, the person that's going to call out all your BS, that's going to say to you, no, you're lying to yourself, you're deceiving yourself, you're full of whatever. They will call you out. You need that person. And you need them at the right time. You don't want that person every day, but you do need that person. And then you need the person behind you. You need that counselor. You need that therapist. You need that person that will hold space for you when you are too terrified to take action, when the voices in your life are too strong, when you feel that you can't go on. Sounds like a song, doesn't it? I'm sure that is the lyrics from a song. You need that person that will hold space for you. And when you've got that and you are actively showing up into that, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. So the last things we want to talk about here is, you'll often hear me talk about wigs. And so as we are entering into 2025, I'd like you to think about where you want to be this time next year. We meet up Christmas Eve next year. For those of you that drink, you got a glass of champagne in your hand. For those of us that don't, got a Diet Coke or something. And we're in a fancy restaurant, bar, got our best clothes on, and we're talking about our successes for the year. Where do you want to be? And then from that, we have to ask ourselves, what is that one goal that if I commit to every day for the next year, what is that one goal that will have the greatest impact on my life, my work, my business? What is that one goal that opens up everything for me? Many people are so stuck in their comfort zone, they can't set goals, or their goals are too small. At the other end of the spectrum is what we call the chaos zone, which is where people have too many goals. They are too big and they are trying to do too much at one time. And it's a guarantee for failure. You really will get very little done. In the middle is what we call guaranteed goals, what John Acuff calls guaranteed goals. And it starts with this sense, what is that one thing, that one single goal that if I commit all of my energy and attention to, that is going to have the biggest impact? And for me, I recognize the one thing, my wig, is posting content every day to social media. That I know if I do that, eventually, if I keep refining it, looking at the analytics, getting feedback, I'm going to grow a following, which is going to allow me to launch my courses, which is going to allow me to find those who want to train with me, which is going to allow me to mentor those, which is going to allow me to build this global community that I want to do. But I know the one thing I need to do every day is post content. But the second thing is we need a wig, then we need to learn to work in sprints. And I generally advocate 90 days, work in quarters, take a little bit of time off after the 90 days, and then reflect, refine, and then go at it again. What are the key activities I need to do in the next 90 days? So for me, I've got to get better at learning how to create and edit videos. I've got to learn to figure out what my message is, what I'm wanting to say. So I'm figuring out what are my key activities and my sprints. Then we've got to develop habits. And so for me, I have always tried to ask myself on a daily basis, what three things can I do today that take me in the direction of my wig? And I try my hardest to go and do it. What I will say is there's a lot of talk about if you've got five things to do today, and one of those things is you've got to eat a frog, you should do that first. Have you ever heard of that before? Because honestly, that's going to be the hardest thing and the worst thing you've got to do. Everything else is going to be easy. I think Brian Tracy came up with that. Eat the frog. So three things you got to do every day. Go and do the hardest thing first. Go and do the thing you don't want to do. But here's the thing. Sometimes we set out to do three things and then we get a call from our kids' school. Something goes wrong. The car doesn't work. The phone breaks. A client cancels. And then we only get one thing done or we get nothing done. And then we give up. And then we begin to say to ourselves, oh, we're terrible and all the rest of it. Achieving one goal or half a goal is still success. One step forward towards your wig is success. And we have to be kind and compassionate to ourselves. There will be some days where that one step is 1 inch forward. Yeah, we'd all love to be like David Goggins, who runs, a marathon kind of every day, but he's superhuman. Some of us, if we can just get out of bed, if we can do one thing, that's a win for the day. And lastly, we have to practice inspired action. And I'm a massive, massive, massive fan of this. I so believe in the power of intuition, of connecting to the power in the universe that's available to all of us. And so, as I said in the video that I posted yesterday, the key in that is, the Quakers call it our inner teacher, and I love that language. And the way I advocate it is we have to slow down. We really have to slow down, take a breath, take a pause. We have to connect to our heart's presence. And then we ask the question, what is it that I need to do today that is the key to moving me forward towards my goals? And then we just listen. And then we write down. We don't listen for a voice. We trust that our intuition will speak through our thoughts, and then we begin to write. And to begin with, just write for 30 seconds or a minute. Don't stop. Don't police it. Then eventually you'll do more and more. And then after regular practice, you'll know your first thought is the thing you need to do, and then you crack on. But my encouragement is inspired action. The things that I have done around inspired action have taken me further, faster, and with less stress than I can ever imagine possible. People that I've met, doors that have opened to me. I mean, even just recently, I was at an event and I looked around the room and there was a gentleman there that I hadn't seen for 8 years. Didn't really know him that well, knew I should go and speak to him. And my intuition the next day said, ask him out for lunch. So I asked him out for lunch. We met up, we had lunch, we reconnected over things. And in that conversation, he said to me, Neil, something I never told you about. We are working in China in schools and university to unlock the potential in the emerging generations and leaders. And I think what you carry, your coaching, your leadership ability, your mentoring could be the key for us. Would you be interested in getting involved? Would I ever? Got an email from him yesterday or 2 days ago, giving me all the information on that and saying, could we meet up again in January? Now, that's my goal, isn't it? To unlock the potential in young people. And I have this dream around China. I don't know why. Just they is smiling. My wife's Chinese. My kids are half Chinese. My grandson's a quarter Chinese. So, um, I have this thing around China. Could I have opened that up myself? No. And thank you. But taking inspired action has done that. Well, I apologize. I've gone on for way too long. I had hoped to get all this done in half an hour and then throw the door open to you. But you do know that I'm a diva. I love a platform. If you give me the microphone, shutting me up is the hard thing. So I'm going to say thank you. And I'd like to throw the space open for any particular questions. And if we don't have any, I will ask you one and then we'll move on. I'll end the recording at past, but as you know, I'm here available till 11 o'clock for those that want to talk about cricket, food, anything you want.
Neil, hi everyone. I wanted to say congratulations with this, like meeting this guy and like how it went forward. So I hope it gonna work for you. But like I was really happy to hear that. And I remember your stories about Asia that you wanted to be there. So wow, good luck. Really cool.
Oh,
I
thank you
don't
so much.
actually I do have one thing to say. I like that when you said what I need to do today to achieve my goal. And I'm like, straight away, I'm that person who like has millions of tasks and want to achieve everything straight away, but burns out quite quickly because of that. And really, like to slow down, it's for me. And big goal is like to find this balance and to find like where I am the most effective, but at the same time finding that time to spend it with family or for myself, I don't know. But really like mm, um, what like I noticed for the last 3 months that I was doing so many things and I ended up exhausted, like
Mm.
mm, got sick because like illness, it's and when I sat like and wrote everything I did, because in my head I thought like, no, I did not, I didn't do enough. And when I saw how many things I did and how many things I did for myself, like to fulfill that energy, because at the beginning you kind of giving, but you're working a lot, but you're not getting anything back. Like you kind of invest. And at this period of time, it's so important. Self-care, I would say. It's so important. So yeah, I hope it will reflect in some of you guys, and maybe you have similar thoughts. But yeah, even like sitting and just like looking at that, what did I do? Like, what are my goals and what steps I did? And really, like I don't know, like in my head, it looks different when I kind of sit, write it, and look. Wow,
Yeah,
real picture is different.
yeah, thank you very much. If I could offer one thought there,
Mm.
the very thing that we find hardest to do for ourselves is often the thing that we are called to help others with. And let's flip it round the other way. The very thing that we're called to help other people do is often the thing we struggle to do. So I know Katya quite well. She's part of my dream team of holding space for me. She's one of the few people on the planet that I'm willing to say exactly what's going on in my life because I entrust her implicitly. Um, but if you have a calling about helping people with their health and mental well-being and slowing down, connecting, letting go, it's going to be the thing that you find hardest to do and put in your diary and make time for. So sometimes just taking a step back and go, what do I struggle to do? Aha. And the more we then focus on it, the more the door opens up the other side. Yeah.
Hi,
Hello.
everyone. Hi, Neil. And I second what Katya said about China. China and Chinese people, I don't know, they have a special place in my heart, but I don't know why. And it reminded me about 2005. I was in China at Tsinghua University. A friend of mine said, learn English and come to China. We will do good things. And I never learned English. I had many academics, Chinese academics from the universities. They said to me, learn Chinese, come to China. And I never did it. And today you are telling, and I just question came to me, did I learn English? No. Please, please, if you can go to China, if you want, go, go, go. It's a beautiful place, beautiful people.
Yes, amen.
Yeah. Um, and my thing is about the goal setting and the business, like it's very similar, not very similar, but the same thing. Every time I say I have a project or something, something is holding me back. And I think it's God or the universe and says, no, it's more all about, can I be my own project to working on my life and internal inside of me? Uh, does it make sense?
Yeah.
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 It's
My
more in
experience
the
is,
connection rather than mm, I am blocked and my energy is all blocked going or helping I'll do for people. And the answer comes to me, no, you don't do it for people. The first you got to do it for you.
mm,
And my aim is I don't want to do it for people, maybe selfish, but why should I? It's a crazy things. Who am I? But
mm,
what I want to work myself wherever I walk in, and my energy, my being is should be giving them positive energy and taking them in a different level, but in the different way, not doing with anything.
mm.
Does it make sense?
Yeah. I just call all of this resistance.
Thank you.
My experience is that whenever we begin to awaken to our calling, whenever we begin to feel inspired to move towards something that really matters, resistance kicks in. And the first thing we question our identity. Well, who am I? I'm not good enough. The stuff I've done in my life disqualifies me. We question our identity. Who am I? Well, who are you not? Who are you not to do this? The second thing is we question our ability. I can't. You know, first of all, we say, who am I? And then we go, I can't because I don't have this and I don't have that. And then the last thing is we go, yeah, but how's that possible? It's all resistance. It's all resistance. And if you're struggling with resistance, I would encourage you to reach out to Almadina and have a coffee with her. She specializes in transformation and helping people let go of all of this stuff. She's going to be a lot better than I am. I can teach about it. She's the one that can help you. I hope you don't mind me doing that, but reach out to her. You know, fill her inbox. But yeah, it's all resistance. It's all resistance. And the thing is, you don't have a message, you are the message. And we understand the world gives authority to those people who've achieved stuff. You know, you go to Slimming World, they'll always have a picture of a bloke holding a pair of trousers that were, you know, this big, saying I lost 10 stone. You know, when Bill Gates, when he was the richest man in the world, and now Elon Musk, when they speak, we run to them. But this is the price we have to pay. The world does not need another influencer who's never paid the price to overcome these things. Nobody needs that anymore. What the world is looking for is not an evangelist in a white suit telling you you need to do this. They need people who've walked through the flames, come out the other side and said, I was here and now I'm there. And when we do it, we have a level of authority. And that authority will create deeper, profound results for you, will open doors for you. And so this resistance is not God or the universe saying no. It's God and the universe saying yes to you. And this is the path. We often don't realize the things we have prayed, whether it's been an actual prayer, through our journaling, through our tears. We have been stupid enough to say, whatever it takes, whatever the price, I'll do it. I want to do this. And eventually the universe comes along and says, okay, and takes you on the path. And then we go, what's happened? Why am I being punished? And the universe is going, oh, for goodness sake. So the resistance you are feeling is this confirmation you are on the right path and an invitation to discover and remember who you really are. Let go of all of the stuff that holds you back and to take action. Now, notice people are raising their hands, and I really don't understand Zoom etiquette. Does that mean you're waving enthusiastically at me? You're asking a question? I have no idea. So please, Alex.
Yeah, just sorry. Yeah, and I'd just like to just make a comment. It's a really good point. Thank you, Neil, for that compliment. What Sultan was saying, and I think just as from my experience as a woman, I think it feels more. It's going to sound sorry, Neil. I know you're outnumbered here, but as a woman, I think there is either in our DNA or in the kind of world that we live in, society, which is still sexist, in my opinion, there is still blocks there. And so therefore, as a woman, I've certainly felt that. And I've also felt that when I've had the worst resistance and the worst challenge and test, I call it being tested, it's almost like being tested in the fire to be molded. At that point, when you're about to, I think as Neil said last time, you're about to give up and you feel I can't take it anymore, is when the breakthrough happens. So there's a Charlie Mackesy picture that says, when you're in a storm, not that you're in a storm, but we're in a challenge, just keep going. Just keep going. So that's just been my experience.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Next one. How to lower hand. Oh, I feel like it's so inspiring, you know, and everyone is like into this conversation. It's so cool. I just like feel that energy. Sultan, when you said like, why me, or like who am I to do that? So my suggestion to you, my answer, like, if not you, who? Always ask yourself, because really, like, you're not worth than others. And if not you, who then? There is a reason why you going through these paths. And in addition to Alexandra's words, I have picture in my bathroom. It was there like before we moved here, so it was from someone else. But I love that like phrase there, and it said, "Smooth sea will never make a skilled sailor."
Mm-hmm.
I might need tattoo with that. Anyway, hope it helps.
Brilliant. Thank you.
While we were talking about like both, thank you, Neil, for this masterclass today. And at some point, it reminded me of my grandmom. So, like briefly, the story is that now she has a problem because of broken hip neck. And so now she could work only at home, like she can't go away or like out. And for her, it's like very stressful. So she was always a person who is very active. And obviously, my parents tried to do everything for her. I mean, for example, to make a balcony like more comfortable so she can, okay, she can't walk, so she can go to balcony and like have some fresh air, just, I don't know, sit there, for example, or some other things. And she's always like, I don't know, any idea makes her angry. Like, no, I don't need that. Like, it's already like end of my life. I just have a couple more days, so please don't waste your time and money. And then when we were talking with her, and at some point she said like, it also started with this, oh, I have just a couple of days more in the soul. And then she said like, it's already 3.5 months I'm in this like situation. Like, okay, do you see? It's already 3.5 months, not a couple of days. So these things already could be done, and you already could feel better and enjoy during these 3 months, like your life. And so, okay, you can't overcome everything, but it could be better. And so why basically I'm talking about this, that we always overthinking about how it will be, so like what it will be. And it's so often then we are coming into the next year or at some point in our life and like nothing changed because we just were thinking or worrying, but like not doing or even not trying to make some steps. And the other thing is I really like a phrase which says that like aim to the moon and for sure you will be between the stars. And Katya, may I share one thought with you? So when we were talking about exhaustion and all of the things, just one idea came to my mind. This is what I was just recently thinking for myself. I'm sure you know this, like a journaling of grateful or of thanks. And but what about like, I don't know, every day to write 3 things what you are thanks to yourself or like for what you're, I don't know, did today. And I think it's also it always helps. I mean, but it also helps to recharge a bit. So because it's like make your energy higher when you have this like grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good idea like to kind of finish your day and